This is RIFF Radio, a presentation of RIFF Magazine Online, your source for music news, reviews, interviews from the Bay Area and beyond. I am Mike DeWald. Find us online at riffmagazine.com. On this episode, we talk with singer, lyricist, guitarist, and all-around brainchild for the band Titus Andronicus, Patrick Stickles. The band just recently released their latest album, An Obelisk, a companion album to A Productive Cough from 2 years ago, but stylistically going in a very different direction from that album. Patrick joined us on the road where the band is in the midst of a 63-date U.S. tour, and he pulls no punches about the state of rock and roll and the connection between politics and culture. Let's start off with where you're at now. You're on the road, the 63-date U.S. tour. It's an intense schedule.
Right. We're in Seattle, Washington right now.
Very nice.
Hoping that our van's brakes are going to get fixed. Stranded here. We got no van. We're out on the streets, literally.
Do you take pride in kind of being touring road warriors like that, kind of hitting the road on these extended tours?
Oh, yes. It's very much to, flatter our own vanity, because, we're not very popular or successful. And, you could argue that, we're not even that good, but we're super legit. You know what I mean? And, we can look at all the other more popular bands and say, they're not legit. They're a bunch of candy-ass bedwetters. They could never do what we do. We're like the Black Flag of today. This is what we tell ourselves to make it feel worthwhile, There
you go. So you're touring in support of your newest album, An Obelisk. It was. That's
right. It was both a long time in the making and, actually really made very expeditiously, or expediently, I should say.
What was your mindset
Weird.
Between the two albums, A Productive Cough and An Obelisk, kind of being counterpoint to each other?
Well, I'll tell you, our previous record before them two was this rock opera album we made and put out in 2015. And that rock opera album was really long. It was like a triple LP, Mm-hmm. And so, naturally, when you make a triple LP, you can't just do the same track over and over again. You know what I mean?
Right.
You think about Sandinista by The Clash, or even, just regular old double LPs by, lazy, unambitious people like the Beatles' White Album or Rolling Stones' Exile on Main Street. You kind of got to do a lot of different kinds of tracks. Otherwise, it's very boring. Might be really boring anyway, but, this is what I wanted to do because Titus Andronicus has got diverse musical interests,
right.
After making that triple LP rock opera, 93 minutes of music, certainly, couldn't do that again. You know what I mean? I certainly couldn't go and try and make a longer record. So I was like, what the fuck? Titus Andronicus, we've got these diverse musical interests. How do I demonstrate the full width and breadth of them without doing this rock opera thing again? So what I said to myself was, Patrick, buddy, why don't you just make, a couple LPs that are a lot more digestible and just do kind of, like I just said, kind of do the same track over and over and make every, track on an album around a theme, but make the album short. You know what I'm saying? So for the Productive Cough album last year, it was basically this is where I'm going to do my little ballads and acoustic or country type songs that I like to do and always have. And then with this An Obelisk album this year, that's where we'll do all the fast songs and the more punk adjacent bangers, which I also enjoy,
Right.
So if you put these two albums side by side, which, seems sensible to do because they came out in consecutive calendar years.
Right.
You put the two of them together, they're not a double LP exactly, but they are, a sort of singular project in a way that, will, hopefully demonstrate the breadth of our interest in a more digestible and accessible fashion. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And you brought in the legendary Bob Mould to produce the album. How'd that collaboration come together?
Man. What's the question?
Oh, how'd the collaboration between you two come together?
Well, it's a long story, but basically what happened was around the time that he put out his album Patch the Sky on Merge Records, which is our record label too.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I know who he is, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I've been studying him for a while. Basically, he put out this album called Patch the Sky back in 2016 or thereabouts. And around the time that he did, I read this interview with him on a website, and him and the writer were talking about contemporary younger bands that they like, and Bob Mould said that he liked Titus Andronicus, among others, you know? And I'm reading this like, holy fucking shit. This guy never would have even dreamed that he'd even heard of it,
right?
Let alone have nice things to say. So this is where, you know, I started, you know, this is where the idea began to germinate, you know?
Exactly.
And then later on, I was at some schmoozy, fucking whack music industry event, you know, because I go to these things to kiss ass. And this writer was there. He'd interviewed me a couple times previously. So I got in this guy's face, and I was like, admit it. You're like all the rest of these music writers. Like, you make stuff up and you exaggerate to make it a better story. Bob Mould never said that he loved Titus Andronicus, did he? And this writer was like, no, I swear, it's true. He said it. Like, Bob Mould's hip. Like, he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
He's with it still. He likes the new bands, including your band. And I was like, damn. And it so happened that at this same party, one of the guests was this man named Michael Azerrad, who you might know from such books as Our Band Could Be Your Life, or Come As You Are, The Story of Nirvana. And I know this guy a little bit also. You know, this dude, he's one of my buddies. Mm-hmm. We've hung out a few times. He's a nice guy and a great writer and rock journalist, you know. Anyway, he's also the co-author of Bob Mould's memoir, right? Or he's like more of the editor or something. I don't know. Like, his name's on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, hey, Michael Azerrad, you and me take a meeting one of these nights. And then we did, and went and got some drinks in New York City where we both live. And I was like, Michael, I really think that Bob Mould is the guy to produce the next Titus Andronicus record. And Michael Azerrad said, okay, well, I'll send him an email and see if it's okay for me to give you his email address, right? And so that's exactly what he did. And Bob Mould said that I could have his email address. And so then, equipped with his email address, I wrote an email explaining briefly what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then I said at the end, like, I know that, you know, you're a very busy guy, and perhaps it's unlikely that you have the time or the interest for this. But, you know, it's an honor just to be able to email you. You're the fucking man, basically. And then, wouldn't you know it, like, to my amazement, it was only a few hours later that Bob Mould wrote me back, and he was like, I will do it. I am going to produce your next album. Here's the studio we're going to. Here's the engineer that we're using. Here's how long it's going to take. Here's the airline you're going to fly me out there on, the whole bit. He had the whole plan. And that was exactly what I wanted, I tell you, because, like, I noticed, looking at this man's discography, like, this dude just cranks out records year after year, decade after decade, and he produces them himself, and they always seem to sound good in, like, a certain kind of rocking way. And so I was like, this dude's probably got it all figured out, and he could just easily plug us into his system, and we wouldn't have to worry about anything. And that's exactly how it happened. Lucky me.
Excellent. Now, for you as an as an artist, when you go into a project, you know, you have your vision of what you want it to sound like, and then you bring in a producer who may have some different ideas or feedback. What's the dynamic in the studio, sort of, you know, working out the two musical visions, I guess is how to put it.
Oh, well, you know, Bob Mould's role was not necessarily to, like, you know, come up with, like, some weird idea, you know what I'm saying, to, like, make Titus Andronicus sound way different. He basically just wanted us to do the thing that we usually do, and his goal was just for us to, you know, execute it as well as we could, and him and the engineer would just try and capture it with as much clarity and integrity as possible. So they were kind of like making sure we had all the right microphones in the right places to get the best possible sounds for rock music. And then Bob would just be really Mr. Mold. He was just really very present, and he would say shit like, well, we're gonna use take 3, but then we're gonna take, the bridge or whatever from take 2 and splice it in, and we're done. And he was like, and then we'd be listening to like a take or something, and he's like, I think this is the good take, but let's go ahead and punch in the guitar at 245 to 315 or something, shit that never would have fucking occurred to us, and just like him just being present and observant and decisive and just keeping us on track and just like kicking us in the ass just a teeny bit when he needs to. But he didn't even kick us in the ass. Like, this dude, he's famous for being like a hard ass, right? He says so in his book. So I'm like, this is exactly what we need. This dude is gonna like really really turn the screws on us and make us be serious instead of a bunch of fucking bums like we are. But guess what? He didn't even do that. And I think the reason for that is that, he knows, like, I'm fucking Bob Mould. Like, these young whippersnappers, like, get in the studio with me, like, they don't want to get on my shit list. They know that disappointing me would be a disgrace. So why would I be a hard ass when the weight of my reputation is such that no punk-adjacent rock musician would dare to bring anything but their A game into a studio with me? I'm Bob Mould, for Christ's sake, That's basically what happened.
Now, the album's title is in part a reference to, consolidation of power, consolidation of wealth. I think it applies in a lot of different ways. How did you relate that sort of back to the songwriting on the album?
Because it's related. Because I'm putting it. I'm giving the system a bunch of shit. I'm calling them out because the system's flawed, and I want to give them a hard time because it's fucked up out here.
Right.
You see the newspaper. This system ain't working. It's broken. It was never working to begin with, but now it's out of control, and we're dead meat, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
I think a lot of people, you just look at the political system and see how broken that is, but I think it goes beyond that. I mean, it's like you mentioned, it's greater, culture and society is so many problems just beyond specifically the political system.
Yeah, and our capitalist system might have been a good idea when we were like, we didn't have anything more than a steam engine to work with. We got atom bombs now. We're screwed. And it is like there's, this intersectionality to all these problems. The way that fucking, capitalism uses the tools of misogyny and white supremacy and all this stuff. And how, like, the system is designed to make sure that there's always going to be people, there's always going to be a bunch of poor people so that we can make them do shit jobs and clean toilets and go off to die in the desert and all this stuff for no fucking reason. It's very convoluted, like it's very tangled web that they weave, and we're all stuck in it,
Absolutely.
I'm going to be fucking poor forever. So there's no middle class anymore. There's no little modest house in my future. I'll be lucky if I can get this fucking van back on the road. I'm so broke. God. Well, what are you going to do? Think about it. That's what. It's a pretty impotent, futile act, but whatever. Right. I'm not out here trying to change the system necessarily. I'm just trying to get certain people to think more critically about their place in it and hopefully, validate some of their feelings about being made to operate within it, just so that they can keep a little gas in the tank. Or maybe, last night here in Seattle, maybe some of the people that were at the club don't like their fucking shitty, stupid job that's pointless. Maybe they don't like the fact that they're never going to be homeowners or comfortable or anything, that they're going to be anxious for the rest of their lives, just like me. maybe they forgot about that for an hour or two. Maybe they felt good. Maybe they'll carry that energy around with them, and maybe life will feel a little more tolerable and tenable for a while. You know, that's all it is.
Right.
I can't change the system. I won't have a significant impact on the wider culture, but perhaps I can have some kind of impact in the lives of individuals, however modest their numbers. Know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Now, we live in...
just the crux of my public service, such as it is, you know?
Right. You know, we live in such a instant streaming, Spotify-focused world that I appreciate your dedication to, creating albums as complete works, artistic works. Is it frustrating as an artist to kind of have to operate inside of that streaming world, or do you just sort of, fight through it?
I mean, I have no choice. Once again, I don't have the influence or the platform to, change the system to be more like what I would want.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, I will say, I want to create my own context for this art. You know what I mean? And, I present these songs in a certain way that is very deliberate. And, if people want to, chop it up and just put one song on their playlist and forget about the album, that's their business. That's not my intention, and I don't think that you get as much out of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, I think that, if you just take one Titus Andronicus song and just decontextualize it and put it up next to whatever fucking shitty, slick band that you also like, then you'd be like, what is this? This is fucked up. What is this music? This sucks, you know? Who gave this guy a microphone? This guy can't fucking sing. This sings. There's no tunes here. What is this? But I think that, if you accept us in the context that I'm trying to create, then you'll say, oh, this is actually fucking awesome, and this is, substantial literary value, and this actually rocks, and this rules, and this band is super legit, and this is my favorite band now. That's what you say when you accept my art in its proper context, which I created.
Absolutely.
You feel me?
Absolutely.
And that goes right along with, being part of, the punk scene or something, so-called. Titus Andronicus used to be part of the punk scene.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? Or, the New York DIY scene or something. In these scenes, people try and lump us in with shit. People tried to lump us in with the fucking... when we first came out, there was a lo-fi rock movement.
Right.
In 2008, when our debut came out, people tried to say that we were like that. We're not like any of these things, We're not part of any scene. We're not part of any larger movement. We are the scene. We are the movement. You feel me?
Exactly.
And this is a big reason why I wanted to make that Productive Cloth album last year, to let everybody know, I ain't part of no fucking punk scene. I have no interest in that. I find it toxic in a lot of ways.
Right.
So fuck it. I don't want to be, enjoy the benefits of being some scene band. And then, the people in every town are like, well, I'm in the punk scene, and I know that this is one of, the 200 bands that me and my friends are supposed to like, so I'm going to go to the gig and act like a knucklehead and push and shove people, and I'm not going to fucking listen, and I'm just making the scene,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a fucking, a phony, a poser, and I just show up for this shit because I'm, basically a secret meathead, I can't fucking think critically for myself. I don't even know what I like. I just know what me and my friends are into. Fuck that. I have no interest in that. That's stupid. Nah. I don't want it. I reject it. You feel me?
Right. Yeah, well...
So, that goes for Spotify as well. These people out here, they're invited. You know what I'm saying? And I will welcome them with open arms and treat them so nice. But you're going to do it on my terms. You're in my house. You understand?
Exactly.
So do it by my rules. You live under my roof. You live by my rules. Period. And if you don't like it, then this ain't the band for you. I'm sorry. Exactly. And I hope you find a lot of happiness out there. But it won't be with me. If you want to come and act like a fucking knucklehead at the gig, I don't want you around. Right. And if you're not going to listen to what I have to say, buzz off. Period. Maybe that sounds a little harsh, but like I say, I'm hungover and I'm out of it. This is what I believe.
Right. Well, we'll see.
Got really drunk last night, because I was pissed about the van.
Oh yeah. Are you? Yeah.
Probably would have got drunk anyway if I was stoked about the van.
Is it going to be fixed in time?
It's great because you're like, God, we had such a shitty night. We get drunk about this. Then, if not, you say, tonight was so great. I'm going to celebrate by getting drunk. Feel me? Rock and roll.
Exactly.
I don't know what I'm saying.
No worries. We'll catch you coming up this Saturday here in the Bay Area at the Rickshaw Stop, and it should be a great show. Awesome. I
love the Bay. Such a nice place. Hard to park.
That's very true.
Put the emergency brake on when I park on one of your hills.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you taking the time and go get that bus taken care of.
It's a van. People keep saying like the bus. Like we got
Sorry.
Bus. Like you're not the first person to say that in the last 24 hours. There's been a bunch of people that roll up like, "Where's your bus?" They're like, "We never had a fucking bus. We're broke. Can't even keep the van on the road, let alone a bus."
Right. Well, sorry for them to speak.
Yeah, because the drummer's friend, he has a friend in town that's also a drummer for like more successful bands than us.
Mm-hmm. And
he was like, "Oh, I can't make it to the gig tonight, but maybe we could hang out. What time you getting back on the bus?" There's no fucking bus. Hell no. The van. We're poor. We're legit.
It's rock and roll right there. Well, I appreciate you.
It really, really is.
I appreciate you taking the time, and we'll see you this weekend.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.